Welcome to Long Overdue Community Conversations. Why this podcast is so important? Because we feel our community are not saying some of the things. We welcome you in to have a long overdue conversation. My name is Jonathan Watley, and I am joined by two amazing friends of mine. I'll allow them to introduce themselves to you.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm Jeremy McClish, and I am just delighted to be able to sit with you two fine gentlemen. We've become good friends over the last couple of years, so excited to have these conversations with you.
Amen. My name is James Scott, community advocate. Just want to be a part of this conversation, man, to give back, give my voice, share my thoughts, my perspectives. Definitely want to be able to help as many people as we can, man, just to get a better understanding and a grip on where we need to be as a people, where we want to be, or where we would like to see our community.
Well said. I think one of the things that we should dive into, one being the first podcast, is we have a couple of issues within the community that doesn't allow us to move forward. I think we've talked about it off camera ad nauseum. One is lack of trust, and the other is there's a pride of arrogance that circulates in here. We can tackle either one of them, but for our perspective, do you guys both agree that we can't move forward because we're not having the right conversations?
I think it could be extremely complicated to move forward, and if you're not having the right conversations, it's almost like trying to go to war, right? But there's no cohesiveness. There's the structure that's needed is not there. You got the generals want to go, they fight their battle their own way or do things their own way, right? Like, so how do you begin to control the chaos if the communication is not right? So just say if it's a passive conversation and it's not really the conversation that's needed. Or let's make it even illustrated a different way. You got a kid. And if you're not speaking into your kid's life to nurture the growth the way it needs to be, I think it's the same where our community is. And for so long that we've heard people talk, we've heard conversations, but then they're not the conversations. When it gets hard, you see people pull back. You hear certain people say you shouldn't utilize certain words nowadays. You shouldn't say certain things, or let's find another way to say it. And I think we're just in a season, man, where everything has been watered down so much that it's affecting and impacting growth for us as a community or for us as humanity. I don't care what color you are. Let's just put it like that. I think we need to start, which I'm so glad that we're starting to have these conversations, and we're going to be bringing people in from the community to be a part of this. So I think tonight our objective is just to introduce this to the community and just to talk through some things ourselves as being some brothers that just decided to come together and start this walk together.
I agree. Jeremy, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give my perspective on this a little bit. You know, I grew up in a small town, and it was very white. There was not a lot of diversity. There was not a lot of people, men and women of color in my town, and I didn't know any different, right? And I thought it was normal. And so I didn't have opportunities to see how other, not just races or skin colors, but how other people lived, right? Like all I knew was my little community. And as I've grown and done more life and served all over this city and all over not the world, but all over the U.S., right? There's just lots of perspectives. And mine was so narrow. And you got to have conversations to learn these perspectives, right? And when I'm talking with you guys and I hear about some of the struggles that you guys have experienced that I have not, I'm so, one, naive, and then two, just ridiculously optimistic. I think the best of people all the time, and I'm like, what? People really treat you like that? You know, we had talked off camera, we talked about, man, let's say the things. And there's not a space for a white middle-class man to have these conversations.
But I think
right? And to learn.
Yeah. I think it's a welcoming opportunity. James mentioned it earlier. It's long overdue. So you look at the generational patterns that we set up, the scripts and patterns that we passed on, and ask yourself why we talk. And you can go back to great-granddad and see why we didn't talk, and it just funneled all the way down to now. Yeah. So from the emotional inability to open up as a people but be frustrated, and then look on the sidelines and say, okay, do I have a voice of matter in the community that I live in? And a lot of them to James' point, have pulled back because they don't think their voices matter. And that's what we're trying to get people off the couch, off the sidelines, set up some conversations that take over the water cooler again, take over Monday morning again, say the things so that we can move progressively so we can have a better attitude as a people. Right now, I think for us, we're so jaded because we don't trust, right? And then there's an arrogance of pride to say, I don't need what you have for me. So those two conversations for me are top off the button.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I know what I know. And so to have that humility to say, okay, tell me what you know, right? There's that pride element. And then there's that, it's, as you were saying, James, it's like, what can you say nowadays, right? So you got a whole group of people that don't feel like they have a voice, and you have a whole other group of people that are tired of hearing about this race issue, right? So let's talk about it
I think
in a healthy way.
Look at the changes we've had from a society. When we grew up, church doors weren't locked. You knew everybody on the block. I grew up in Greenfield Square. You could get a whooping by the lady down the street for acting up, right?
Tear your butt up.
And then she'd bring you back home to tell what you did and also the discipline you got, and then it got reinforced by inside the house. Then you look at how so far we've gotten away from Humanity 101. When's the last time you seen somebody reach into another family to care for them that wasn't there? We don't do that thing anymore. We've come into a silo and we sit back and say, okay, let me just wait and see what's going to happen next. And we're trying to say, stop waiting. Help us make the plan to what happens next.
Yeah, that's a good point right there, Jay. Like in your point when you talk about the scripts of life, the general scripts of life. Like, now check this out. Were you guys able to be expressive in your house? Say, like, if something was going on, did you get to plead your case and state your case, and then there was a conversation, the communication?
Yeah, like, no, in my house it was don't rock the boat, right? So it was, man, I mean, yeah, we would speak our mind and we would debate issues, right? But
with the parent?
With the parent, yeah. But it was not like... but we were all kind of on the same page, right? And so yeah, that was kind of in my house, at least. It was, man, don't cause waves, don't rock the boat, go with the flow, right? Very conflict averse.
So let's flip the script and talk about another house on the other side of the street. Mine didn't have a woven in philosophy of Jesus, because my mom was mad at God when my brother died. And then we weren't connected from conversations. Like, we all, 9 of us in the same house, but you're not talking about your emotional feelings. And I think that has been a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound for so long, because it comes out anger and it shows anger versus telling somebody you're mad. It shows out other ways. The emotional intelligence have been backseated for so long. I think it's one of the issues why people say, okay, let me close the doors, let me lock myself in, let me just worry about this. And back in the day, it was like, no, you can't do that on our block. Know what's going on in the city. And we had a more transparent attitude towards everything. But I think when you look at even our friendship, how are we able to have a conversation? There's no bias in the conversation, but we also know that we have value of each other as a friendship. And we're trying to say, okay, how do we take that to the masses and say, join us in this conversation? But it's not just a conversation. I'm hoping it leads to a movement that leads to change.
Love that. So, Jeremy, I got a question for you. I'm your black brother. Well, just be real. We have a real conversation, right? That's what we said, right? And you're my white brother, right? Right? This is America. Black, white. This is a black, white, black, white. So there's probably some questions, man, that I'm pretty sure you may have wanted to ask a black brother that you could just talk to, right? What's one of those questions, like right now?
All right. What is it? So you had asked, and it goes right back to the question you asked earlier around, what did debate look like in my household? So in my household, it was very much you speak when it's your turn to speak, right? You don't talk over anybody. So Tell me about that in your culture, because you guys cut up like none other. So
that's good, James.
So what?
You
tell me.
want to take it?
No, I'm gonna bounce. I think when you look at back to my comment about the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
You're regulated in a household where you can tell mom and dad I'm upset. In a black household, we breaking stuff, we cussing, we throwing stuff around because we're emotionally unregulated. Because for generational, nobody sit down and said, this is how you really talk to somebody. Does that make sense, James?
Oh man, reality. Part of it. And then the other part is like, you don't get to talk back. Like, so when you have that conversation, the communication lines, and let's always keep in mind, man, there's no 100% because some households are different.
This is your experience, for sure.
My experience, and then like what you were told is what it was, like literally, like you couldn't plead your case. There you had no case. Let's put it like that. And a lot of times in the black culture. And this is just my perspective, man. I think a lot of upbringing of a lot of black houses stimulated from slavery.
Yeah.
All you know is what you know. So if the master, let's say the master was like the father figure to the slave, because they had to abide by the rules, and you couldn't talk back to the master. Whatever the master said was the way it was. So you would pick up the characteristics of the master, and that's how you raise your kid, your child.
So, man, what does that do
to your mentality
from your perspectives? So, not being able to
wrap your mind around this. Here's a statement. You could ask your parents why. You get an explanation.
Yeah.
We ask black parents why. We get one statement. Because I said so. Am I right, James? But what happens is, for you, it expands your horizon to get more knowledge. For us, we stop asking why because we get the same answer.
And it's the structure of the leadership.
Yep.
Like, so the leadership that was the leadership became the leadership, personality of that leadership, how they got treated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was passed on into the black household.
So what is that? So roll that out. What does that mean today? Right? What do you think how do you think that has impacted?
So let's look at the
culturally.
Emotional, I call it the turning off of the switch.
Yeah.
So back in, use James, back in the slavery period of how they treated us, one of the things that black men were so profound on, it didn't do us any good, was to turn off their emotions. So if his kids were abused, if his wife was being raped in front of him, he tells family, don't let them see you cry. Don't let them see that sign of weakness. Now add 700 years to that of not emotionally crying. But you can you can tell when I'm mad, but I can't tell you that I'm mad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That pot's been on the stove for so long that nobody's adjusted the heat. Because for us, going back to that, he was so right in his saying. He said, don't show a weakness to these people. Don't show a weakness to somebody that is berating us, that is disrespect. Don't show a weakness. So that son is standing next to his father, watching his mom being violated and not crying. Doesn't mean he's not mad, doesn't mean he's not hurt. He is processing, and then he's shutting down. Add 700 years to it, and then you see a black man now, he can't articulate he's mad, but he can tear everything up and kill some people.
Yeah. And imagine being told over and over and over again, don't let them break your will. Don't let them see you cry. Stand up. Be a man.
So when that boy now comes to his dad, fell off his bike, hurt his knee, instinctively, what you crying for? He doesn't even know that he's telling his child, shut that off. It doesn't belong.
And that's universal, man. I, having a little life behind me now, I wish I would have done that differently. When my kids hurt themselves, I'm like, you're okay. That's my first response. You're okay.
Yeah.
Instead of saying something like, yeah, that really hurts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Validating that, comforting them.
So where'd that come from with you being like that?
Well, so that came from therapy. That came from a lot of internal work, realizing that, man, I've just spent a lot of my life. I'm a Gen Xer, right? So talk about generational scripts. I grew up in when I was young, our parents didn't have a lot of money, but they were hard workers, right? And so they worked hard over time and turned out to be successful in their individual fields, right? So that's what I was very much in that middle class mentality, is you work hard, you put forth the effort, good things will happen.
You mean it tells you didn't get it just because you was white? You had to work for it?
Well,
Is that a myth?
so let me tell you something. I say this all the time. I have worked hard for everything I've got in life. I've worked hard for it. But I also realize I've had every opportunity. There's been no barriers. There's been no roadblocks.
That's powerful in itself, Jeremy.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I know that. Now, it doesn't diminish the work I've put in, right? But I also know that, man, I had every opportunity, right? There was nobody telling me no, or throwing a roadblock that I couldn't navigate, right?
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that we look at adversity for shutting down. It's like, why is a black person's loan process different than a white person? Why is the sheets longer for it? And then you start saying, okay, you succumb to it. You don't put up any fight anymore. It's just what it is, right? It's almost like the black and white signs are still there, but they're not.
And so,
there.
guys, and that's been like, that's why I've valued our friendship and our conversations that we've had is, man, I just, again, going back to that naivety and just believing everybody's got everybody's best intentions in mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I still, like, I hear you say that, Jonathan, I still have a hard time believing that it's true, right? Like, that it is different for black and white. But I've lived enough life to see, and I've gotten to know you guys and to see it up close and some of the people I've served in my nonprofit career, right? Like, I know it's the case.
Yeah.
So I hope as we start having these conversations, I know one of the things that we've talked about is, man, let's really try to peel back the systemic stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have solutions, unfortunately, that I can present necessarily, but man, let's at least highlight the issue.
I think we've swept so much under the rug. Over the rug is this high, right? And I honestly believe, and this is just for the community as a whole, I honestly believe you want these conversations. You want us to expand the box so that we can move us from hopelessness to hope. So hopefully you'll help us engage moving this, because we're talking about scripts and patterns. Everybody that's watching this, you have a script in your family that got passed on, good, bad, or indifferent, and you start processing when you sit there and say, okay, is this helping my family or hurting my family? And how do I stop the madness? For us, we don't know how to stop it because of how we got it. It keeps getting passed on. So process another script that you know that is plaguing us, James.
So 1 minute I think is definitely damaging to us, and let's talk about systemic systems, which Jeremy brought up, is how you take culture and you break it, you mend it. And I'll use something that's extremely relevant right now, the war that's going on in Iran. America has already committed to, once we get done tearing apart, we're going to come back in and help build. They've never made that commitment to black America, ever. So we still carry that script with us every day as black America. There was Jay Watley just said a minute ago, you take it 450 to 700 years of doing a thing to a people. And I don't care what it is, man. If you go through some major in your life right now that traumatizes you, you're going to go seek mental help for that, right? So imagine a culture that's damaged generation after generation after generation, and it never had the time or was never tended to help heal the psyche, the mental, to give it what it needs to have a fair chance in life. Like you said, you had every opportunity. As a black man right here, I could tell you, if the opportunity was there, it was far few in between. But to be a black man and be aggressive about wanting to be somewhat successful or somewhat in a space where I could take care of my family or my kids or be the best black man that I could be, we have to make choices. We have to be aggressive about our choices. And the opportunities, like we said, they do come. And I'm going to say, do I love America? Yes. Would I like to be in any other country right now? No. But at the same time, our reality as Black America is an illusion that we have evolved. This is my perspective. It's an illusion that we have evolved. And we as Black Americans, we tend to be so damaging to each other. But it's because of the damage that was done to us. And if we don't find a way to stop and heal, then we'll continue on this hamster wheel. So there has to be something, man, that we could figure out. What does that look like?
Yeah.
How does Black America get to a point, or even just America, period, where their Black counterpart, like, I'm sorry, white America, no offense, but we your brothers, we your sisters. It's just reality. So how do we get to a point where we can begin to heal and fix things that are broken? When we know the legal system, man, is unbalanced. Mother Justice and the scales is right in front of us, right? How do we get to a point when we know systemic systems that have existed, they still exist? You as a white man that just care and love your brothers, you know that because we talk about it, and it hurts your heart because you share that. So, I'm encouraged by the conversations, the beginning of this, but how do we get to a place, man, where we could begin to heal and get people that's got strong voices to stand up, to be courageous, to be a part of the conversation, but also how do we get to the resolve to fix things?
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to what Jonathan, what it made me think of, what you opened up with, is these two issues of trust and pride, right? And trust, like, how can white and Black folks trust each other? But then also, as I've been hanging out with you guys, I'm learning that the mistrust that exists in the Black community.
Yep, it's real.
And that's probably a whole pod in and of itself on how that came to be and why it's reinforced. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trust issues that need to be resolved, and you know,
I think we as a people, we've passed on some stuff. Didn't ask why. We just keep on holding it. So a scientist did an experiment where he put a bunch of fleas in a jar and he watched them jump and hit their head. He put a lid on it. But then what he did was he took the lid off after a period of time. Every new baby didn't jump that high because it was
they knew just the right amount of height to jump.
Which means all the stuff we've talked about from 350 to 700 years, it doesn't have to be done to us anymore because we are duplicating it every day.
Oof.
Yeah. And that's the challenge for this overdue conversation. If we stay there, we got to say, okay, why don't we trust each other? And then what does it look like to slowly peel back the onion so that we can start saying, okay, I think I can move in a different direction because of some of these conversations. Man, nobody's ever said that. Because we do this as a people. I am a mother with kids, and I've been molested by my uncle. So now I have a daughter. I tell my daughter, stay away from Uncle Louie, but I never tell her out of my pain that I was molested by Uncle Louie. So my daughter grows up not understanding why she can't love on Uncle Louie. Mom is so hurt she can't say the thing. Then she passes it on, and as she grows up, now the daughter says, I don't know why. Right? Then she'll have a daughter. Stay away from it. Then Uncle Louie passes away. Then Uncle Louie's in the grave. And then everybody has a conversation of what happened in the youth. That embarrassment and that pride and that shame, those are three topics of bringing back these scripts and patterns that I think we can tear down as a people.
And I think it another piece of this is just the awareness, right? So get back to one of your original questions was the reason I was able to kind of identify some things that I want to do different as a parent is I spent years just grinding, right? You just put in the work and but just not even aware of really life going on around me, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what my soul, what my heart is telling me. And so, man, I don't want just any of us to continue to walk this earth just unaware. Unaware of the pain, unaware of the reason behind the mistrust, unaware of our arrogance because we're so in it in our own
I like that.
our own way. Like, so awareness has been a big part of my journey the last 4 or 5 years, and man, I hope that this sheds some light for some of the folks listening.
I agree. I think when we sit here as three different people with one common goal, can we be better as a people? Can we come together as a people to move us, that this is the start of something new? And then the next generation said, I'm glad the generation before us had these conversations. I'm glad they tore these walls down. I'm so much more healthier as an individual now because we've been having long overdue conversations. If this is any kind of inclination as what to come, James, this is going to be good. Man,
beautiful. And I hope it is encouraging to others. Like, because, man, nobody should be offended when we're talking about history.
Yeah.
History that impacts us today. So I think it should just be open dialogue, good conversation where brothers, sisters could get together, just have some good conversation. But the main objective is get to resolve. Like, what does that look like? Well, we could begin to start some true healing. And always keep God on the forefront of everything that we do. So we don't want anybody out there in podcast land to take anything that we say to heart. We're just having genuine conversations, sharing our hearts and our thoughts. And we invite anybody in the community that's bold enough to just sit down and have a good conversation. That's why we're starting this podcast, so that we can start those community conversations, those long overdue.
They are long overdue.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I just appreciate you guys, and it's been a joy. So one of the things that the reason I even agreed to do this with you guys is just because of the trust. You guys give me so much grace and love and acceptance, and so, man, that means a lot. And so it makes it feel like I can have these conversations and say the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, you mentioned the word grace. It's so missing. We immediately get offended and there's a reaction. And we tell everybody about the offense and our reaction to it. And the grace of God, which got us here 350 to 700 years, we got to a place and he's saying, okay, can't you be better? Can't you navigate this from a different perspective? And we use the analogy of what does humanity 101 look like? If I can't see you, I can't see myself. So, James, thank you for the opportunity. I think wherever this is going from a community aspect, we need you to join us. We need your comments and feed in, because there's a lot of long overdue conversation in the community that we need to have. What are they? How do we navigate it? We want to peel the layers of the onion back to there's no more layers. Everybody's starting to say the thing. We can heal as a community and be a better versions of ourselves. So join us on the next long overdue conversation.